ANC's constitution and its resolutions of conference will be under the spotlight when the governing party's Secretary-General Ace Magashule challenges his suspension in the South Gauteng High Court. Magashule is challenging the constitutionality of the party's step-aside rule. He wants the court to declare the rule as unlawful, unconstitutional and invalid. This follows his suspension by the ANC in relation to the fraud, racketeering, money laundering and corruption charges he faces in connection with the 230 million rand Free State Asbestos project.
All laws in South Africa must be in line with our constitution, which is our supreme law in this country. And what he is claiming is that his presumption of innocence, as enshrined in the constitution, is being infringed upon, given the fact that he has now been forced to step aside in light of the serious charges of fraud and corruption that have been leveled against him. So definitely he has a foot to stand on, but I think that it is a matter of interpretation. He belongs to the ANC, and the ANC has its own internal rules and regulations. And when you are a member of an organization such as the ANC, you effectively agree to bind yourself by those rules and regulations.
Magashule has been temporarily suspended according to Rule 25.70 of the ANC's constitution. The rule has no option for one to appeal their suspension. Magashule has also argued that the rule was introduced in order to target individuals not aligned to the faction of ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa.
The rule is based on a constitutional amendment to the ANC constitution. So it's actually part of the constitution, which means it can't be unconstitutional in comparison to the rest of the ANC constitution. It's part of the constitution. And that rule says that if people are charged with crimes, they should step aside. And that if they don't, they can be suspended. Now, that is the rule that was given effect to when the NEC decided to suspend him, and they used the ANC's own constitution to pass that message on to him. They had to do it through the Deputy Secretary-General because he, as the Secretary-General, was obviously not the person to give himself his own suspension. That's one of the things he's complaining about. So there is nothing unconstitutional either in terms of the ANC's own constitution or in terms of our national constitution that would prevent an organization from requesting somebody to suspend himself or from suspending that person who is causing harm to the reputation of the organization.
Magashule further says his rights are being violated, hence the court challenge.
Innocent until proven guilty. It's just not relevant in this context. The other point, though, is that, yes, there's a difference between the 2570 rule, evidently, and the disciplinary proceedings. But that is, again, because, and again, I can't speak for the ANC, but I can give you a reason for that distinction or justification for it. The 2570 rule, introduced by a national convention, is about protecting the reputation of the ANC almost prophylactically, in case there's a problem. Somebody gets charged and we think, oh dear, and that was made clear at the ANC, at the meeting, there is a great deal of negative publicity about corruption in the ANC at the moment. We want to remove that danger. So if people get charged for corruption, we are going to ask them to step aside. You know, in some countries, I must say it's a dying trend now, people automatically step aside when they're charged with something as serious as that. Nobody has to tell them to. They do it out of loyalty to the organization that they would otherwise damage. So 25/7 is a prophylactic measure. It's not saying, yes, he's done something wrong. It's saying he poses a risk to the organization.
Magashule has on numerous occasions said it is only the branches of the ANC who can tell him to step aside, as the organization owes its existence to the branches. Whatever the outcome of this court battle, it's quite clear that it will set a legal precedent, especially where the party's constitution is concerned. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Bali Tetani in Johannesburg.